Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marty. If you are new here, welcome. I am moving from Seattle to Chicago in about 2 months, and I'm hoping to vlog about how I moved cross country, share with you my insights about Seattle, and then explore Chicago with you. In today's video, I want to share with you 7 things I think is important for anyone who is relocating to Seattle to know before moving. A little background about myself, I moved from Hong Kong to Seattle about 11 years ago for high school, and I've lived here through college and now as a young professional. And before I moved to Chicago, I really want to share with you things I've learned about this beautiful city. So if you're thinking about moving to Seattle, this video is perfect for you. If you're from Seattle, I would love to hear from you if you agree or disagree with the things I'm listing in this video. So, without further ado, here is 7 things I think you should know before moving to Seattle. So the first thing, probably the most important for everybody who is looking for a job, is the opportunities. We have a lot of opportunities here. I think we're well known for having a big tech scene, which is completely true. I've worked at startups, and I can't tell you how many friends I have that work at Amazon, Microsoft, or other tech companies. Google and Facebook might not be headquartered here, but they have big offices in Seattle as well. You have Expedia. Really, I can go on and on about the different tech companies that are based in the Seattle area. But don't think we're just about tech. We have a lot of opportunities in other industries as well. Boeing, Alaska Airlines, Starbucks, Nordstrom, you name it. We have a lot of companies in the area that you can really find the dream role for you. If you're not in corporate, I also have a lot of friends that work in nursing, education. The University of Washington is a really big employer in the city as well. Definitely take your time to search for a perfect role before moving to Seattle, because in my opinion, Seattle is definitely not a cheap place to live. We might not be as expensive as San Francisco or New York, but we're pretty high up there in terms of cost of living. The second thing I want to talk about here, it might be a little controversial, is Seattle freeze. Some people don't think it's a real thing. Some people think this happens in every city. I can't really speak for other areas because I've never really lived in any other US cities, but in my understanding, Seattle freeze is real. Don't get me wrong, people in Seattle are not mean. We're still really friendly people, but just because we're friendly and nice to you does not mean we're your friends. It's hard to break into the bubble, and people don't actively invite people to do things. And that is also my impression in Seattle. I feel pretty fortunate. I have a pretty bubbly personality. At least I think so. I like hanging out with people and I like hitting people up, and so I feel like that really helps me. That might not be true for everyone. My biggest advice for you is to be proactive and reach out to other people. If you're very comfortable on your own and you stay at home all the time, you're gonna have a hard time making friends. So keep that in mind. The third thing I want to talk about is the rain, which I think we're so known for. When people think about Seattle, they think about the rain. In reality, I really don't think our rain is that bad. It's not necessarily that we have really heavy rain. Most of our rains are very misty, light, but the issue is you will experience very long winter that are very dark and very misty. So definitely invest in a rain jacket. I personally have a few of them sitting around my closet, so I'm not wearing the same one every day. Local Seattleites don't like to use umbrella, and they make fun of people that use umbrella as tourists. I've personally got used to just wearing rain jacket and raincoat, but don't be intimidated by that stereotype about wearing umbrella. Sometimes in a really heavy rain that we have every now and then, it is helpful to have an umbrella. But I would definitely encourage you to invest in a pretty nice rain jacket to start with, and then you can start building your wardrobe there. Okay, now that we have talked about the rain, I have to talk about the sun and the summer here. We really appreciate the sun, and when the sun comes out, we want to be outside. While I'm not the most outdoorsy person, a lot of people are super into hiking. In the winter, they go snowboarding, skiing. There are a lot of things to do in the outdoor here. Definitely take advantage of those opportunities whenever the sun comes out. Go out and do things. You might be stuck at work, but in the summer, we have really long days. Like in June and July, the sun doesn't set until like 9 or 10. So even after work, there are a lot of things you can do to take advantage of the longer daytime. So make sure you do that. But something really inconvenient about summer in Seattle, most places do not have AC. I really do think global warming affects Seattle quite a lot. 10 years ago, I remember Seattle's summer really isn't quite that warm. We would have maybe 1 week or 2 that hits the 90s. In the past 5 years, I want to say, we've had a lot more days in the 80s and 90s. And the thing is, Even if you live in a newer building, it's not guaranteed that they have AC in the unit. When it is in the 80s and you have no AC and you're relying on a fan, it might work if you don't run hot. A lot of people buy portable AC units here for the summer, and so definitely keep that in mind when you're apartment shopping. If you're someone just want to have a centralized cooling system, definitely you have to be picky and look for newer apartments. If you're okay getting a portable unit for AC, make sure you purchase those early. They go out of stock every summer in Home Depot, at Costco. It's hard to get one if you don't plan ahead of time. Before that sudden heat wave hits Seattle, get your AC early. The fifth thing I want to talk about is transportation. Seattle might not have the biggest rail system. We don't have subway. We have like a light rail, we have streetcars, but I do have to say we have a pretty decent bus system. And you can definitely get to anywhere around the city within 2 buses, probably within an hour, but it really depends on what neighborhood you lived in. I personally got rid of my car 2 years ago because I moved from a neighborhood called East Lake to Capitol Hill. I really enjoy living in Capitol Hill because of how close we are to downtown. Seattle might not be the easiest city to live without a car, but in recent years, I've really enjoyed using rental car sharing services like Gig or Zipcar. Whenever I find myself in need of going to somewhere a little outside of Seattle, maybe to IKEA, or when I'm really having that Popeyes craving, I pick up one of these cars in the streets and I drive. So Seattle might not be the easiest city to live without a car, but it's manageable if you live in the right neighborhood. If you have a family, I definitely recommend having a car, and that will really help you get around the city a lot easier. Next thing, I want to talk about neighborhoods, which I kind of touched on in my previous point. There are a lot of characteristics to each neighborhood in Seattle. Personally, where I live right now is Capitol Hill, and it's my favorite because I'm close to a lot of bars, restaurants, and I can even walk to downtown Seattle in about 15 minutes from where I live. It's very convenient, centrally located, and you have access to buses, light rail, and streetcar, which really cover a lot of the places I would go. Some of the other really popular areas include Ballard. Ballard has a lot of Scandinavian characteristics. They have a lot of bars and restaurants as well. Some of my friends enjoy living in the U District. It's the more college neighborhood, but you have access to a lot of good food, and it's also very conveniently located. West Seattle is another up-and-coming neighborhood that a lot of my coworkers live in and enjoy. Definitely talk to some locals and see what you like, what you enjoy, and what you prioritize in your day-to-day living. Before you move to Seattle, come take a trip to Seattle, maybe go to different neighborhoods, walk around, and get an idea of what different neighborhoods have to offer. I won't go too much deeper into the neighborhoods in this video, but if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Here comes the seventh, our last point for this video that I want to share with you is Seattle does not have income tax. Washington State has no income tax, and I think that is definitely a benefit for those living in this state. I'm mentioning this because in 2 months I'm moving to Illinois, which is a state that has income tax. So for those of you who are thinking about moving to Seattle, it might be surprising to you, and there might be another reason for you to consider moving to Seattle. That way you have a little bit more disposable income and you can do whatever you want with that. So this wraps up our video. I hope you enjoyed this and learned a little bit more about Seattle. Like I've said throughout this video, feel free to comment if you have any questions. I would love to answer any questions to the best of my ability. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe. I would love to share with you more about Seattle before I leave, but I'm also really looking forward to moving and exploring Chicago with you. So thanks again, and I hope you have a good one. See you next time.